So I'm gonna let Fresh start this off because I'm trying to be in my silent mode, you know?
Okay, just want to give like a little quick bio about yourself. Like, what have you been up to? I know when I met you, it was at the Arts Council building. The
Yeah,
kind of chairs were flipped. You were interviewing me type deal.
I know.
So, like, what you been up to?
For me, still doing arts council, but working on some projects on the
Yeah,
side as well. I've been doing a lot of performing recently,
yeah,
but I'm at the transition of, doing some stuff more digitally. Now, it's always important to, in my opinion, get out there on multiple facets. You can't just be like, oh, I don't want to do that, because if you don't do it, someone else is going to do it. So, just working on a lot of different things and kind of creating worlds again. Honestly, I'm in a very passionate point in my career, which I feel like, not that it went down for a little bit, but it felt a bit stale, but it's nice to have like a bit of fire.
You want to expand on that? Like when you say like stale, because I don't know, being a DJ, I feel it too. You know, like when you work all the time, like you can get like desensitized to the position that you're in. So like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so, and it's not in like an ungrateful sense, but you're
Yeah,
doing
for sure.
what you're doing and you're proud of the levels you're doing it, but you realize when you kind of step back, see all the different stages you can be at your career, and it's like sometimes you'd be like, I'm so grateful for where I'm at, but I need to think about ways to get to the next level. I've done so much where I'm at, and I'm super proud of myself, but it's like, okay, what's up? Let me start looking up. And I think I was kind of going through the motions in a sense.
Yeah.
Not in like bad ways because I was developing a lot, but I'm always someone who's in the shadows doing things, whether I'm like writing with different artists or collaborating with other people to help with different organizations, all that stuff. I do a lot of support work, and
Yeah.
it's a great work, which is the reason why I'm the person I am today. But now it's like, how do we showcase that to the world as a package? Like this music stuff is business too, right? So when your product, you feel like, okay, my product is developed. Now it's like, let's start being more aggressive. Let's see, put it out there. Let's see who's gonna catch on. Let's see who's gonna, buy it, invest into it, believe in it, get inspired by it. Sometimes I realize I have to humble myself in my own humbling, because I'm like, I know I do my thing, and I'm almost been too satisfied with just being able to just sit there and be like, oh yeah, I know my level. They don't really know it yet. But now it's like, you know what? Time to showcase where you're at. Time to showcase what you do. You can't just be, Nike can make shoes, but if they're not going to start selling it, they'll just have a bunch of nice shoes in their closet.
Yeah.
But they're like, nah, I like these, so I'm going to sell them. And other people liked it too, so.
Now, I like when you talk about, where you at and how you're gonna get to the next level and all that stuff. But for people that don't know, right, I wanna go back to Asante the person. Because I feel like we gotta talk about Asante in three parts. Asante the person, Asante the artist,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And Asante the executive,
Yeah.
right? So and he wears all three hats,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But let's go back to Asante the person. Give me some background for people that don't know you, which includes myself, because I know you, but I don't know you. So I want to go back to, give me a start. Take me back to as early as you want to take me back.
Well, I was just growing up in Richmond Hill, was a huge soccer player, so I used to just play a rep. I used to be a kind of a journeyman because I just kind of like playing in different spots and figuring out what different like locations were like, because living in the GTA is a lot different than living in London.
Can't have that name Asante and not be good at sports too.
Yeah, we do a 1-2 thing. But I feel like I was like living in the GTA. You have so many more places to be. I'm in Richmond Hill, so we're like the center of it all. I find like Richmond Hill has its own culture to it, but at the same time, since we're right in the center, we take from all the different places around us. So I've just played in different cities, talked to different people. I was really kind of like a floater, I'd say. I never really someone who was growing up and be like, oh yeah, that's his squad. Maybe more in high school, but I've always ventured in different cultures, different people, different ideologies. It just, I've always just been out and about, roaming, trying to see what the world has to offer, you know? So I was doing all that, and then finished high school. I went to Western, did that for 2 years. I was doing really well in school, but then I was just like, second year I met Jammin.
Yes. Big shouts. Big shout. You know what? Before we go any further, gotta say big shouts to Jammin
Yeah, for
because
sure.
Big shout out.
every
For
time
sure.
we bring on an artist, right?
Yeah.
It all comes back to Jammin in
Starts
some
with
way.
Jammin.
So big shouts to Jammin.
Yeah, nah, he really sees stuff in people, even before
Yeah.
they see it themselves,
Yeah.
you know? I just did one fashion show performance, he was there, he's like, who was that guy?
Yeah.
And it's funny, because I didn't feel like that, right? It was
Yeah.
kind of just like, that was when I was transitioning, being like, I want to do this artist stuff, but I don't even know what it means to even be that.
Yeah.
And he's looking at me like, yo, you're like the next big
Yeah.
thing. And I'm like, that's crazy. I don't even know. Like, I'm just out here just singing some song that I made with my friends laughing, you know? So he really, I'll say he's my start and really why I became what I am today and why I have the drive to, but why I also have the know-how. Because early on, I just met him and we were just walking around to a bunch of different stores. I was
Yeah.
so shy back then, like couldn't even talk what I'm doing, and Jammin boosts me. Like every time I walk into a store, I promise somebody thought I was like Michael Jackson or something. The way he talked about me.
No, but that is
It's true,
Jammin.
though.
That Jammin can bring that.
Yeah.
Jammin can bring that stuff out in you,
Yeah.
right? Man, once again, like I said, you gotta just say big shout outs to Jammin and all that. I was just talking to him before. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, you know, we got your boy on and everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I think it's good. Also, you know, he's playing a big part for us in Essence of Culture. We're gonna get back to that.
Yeah.
But there's another thing about Asante. When he started talking about soccer, right?
Yeah.
I just started to smile, and the reason for that, because if you know Asante nowadays, all you see him is with his skateboard.
Oh, really?
So I couldn't, it took me a minute to say, wait a minute, soccer, skate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and we talk about transitions and things that you get into, right?
Yeah.
Here we go, and like I said, today is just one of those days. I'm pressing on my phone because the excitement is getting me, and you know I'm gonna work that stuff in this podcast, right? So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually gonna put this down and stop playing with it like that, and you know, we're gonna leave it like
Start a
that.
jar every time that happens. Put $5 in it for me.
Bro, if I did that every time, I would, you know what, people would get some money. But like I said, as I get back to Asante, just the vision just in my head, me reconciling soccer with skateboarding. But that's a props to you because of
Yeah.
how you're flowing, right?
Yeah. Now being on that board rig. Oh, let me check real quick. Make sure my levels are good.
Yeah,
See, because I told you I'm a passionate talker, so my hands be doing all that. I knew eventually I was gonna hit something. Is
Yeah.
it sounding good back there?
Yeah, good.
Okay, perfect. So, yeah, honestly, that board has got me a lot of opportunities. Cause I'd be writing. So when I first worked at the London Arts Council, like Jeremy, first day was like, you walk way too slow. And I'm like you know, I'm a enjoy the breeze type
Yeah.
guy, you know, like I'm walking down the street, you know, it's
Yeah.
a nice summer day, you know,
Yeah.
might be
Yeah.
listening to like Summer Breeze or
Yeah,
something literally.
Yeah.
But so because I'm that kind of guy who loves life, I can't go fast. So first day he's like, nah, you're not cut out for this if you walk with how fast you walk. I'm like, dang. We have to be back and forth.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I used to skateboard when I was like 16 to go to work sometimes, and then started driving and stuff. But then I'm like, you know what, bet I'll just go. Brought it back. I'd be riding it all the time, and especially when I'm writing, most of the time I like being outside. I don't know what it is, something about like the air, but also soaking in my environment. Everything feels like more real. So that's what I'm doing literally every day. If people can't find me, I just say probably go downtown or something. You'll probably pass me. So from that, I'd be passing a lot of people, and people are recognizing me, and I'm getting, funny enough, opportunities from that because they're just like, you're the guy skateboarding all the time. What do you
Yeah.
do?
Man, I gotta get into that skateboard because I pass him because I'm always walking, right? So I pass him sometimes, right? So I understand that you know that
Yeah.
that vibe you get when you're just easy and it's just kind of everything just flows in.
Yeah.
When did you move to London?
I was 18, so I'm a 2000 baby, so it's pretty easy to keep track. But I think it was 2018. I think it dropped again.
Oh man, we're gonna have.
Man.
You know what? You're gonna force me to do some talking here whilst you make these adjustments because, like you said, you're animated with this, right? So,
Yeah, so I came to London, I think 2019. So that was just for university. 2 years at Western, met Jammin. Oh yeah, see, now we're back
Yeah,
on
we're
track.
back.
Met Jammin, and then from there we started doing a lot of stuff. I was like,
Mhm.
dang, this is what it feels to be an artist. You know, interviews, talking to people, getting sponsorships, and all that kind of stuff. So I just started going to Fanshawe, MIA, graduated from there. So I think I did in the pandemic, so I'm probably at 2021 now, 2022, and then I went straight to the Arts Council. So I've just been London. I'll say is really important to me because it's like where Asante was born, not the person but the
Mm.
artist. You know, it gave me all my opportunities and made me feel like an artist.
Well, at what point did you kind of start taking your music serious? Like when did and like what was that like? Because obviously making music in the basement's fun and stuff like that, but then you kind of reach this point where you want to take it out there and start putting it to people and like
Yeah,
maybe making something like that you're super passionate about, like a project or an album or anything like that. When did that click for you?
like first song.
Oh, okay.
Like I literally did it, try to make a diss track on my high school. Funny enough, and then we didn't even get to doing that. We made a song, and I kind of
Yeah.
loved the experience.
Yeah.
And then I dropped my first song, but everybody knows me in like Richmond Hill, so they're not gonna be like, "Oh, Sante the artist." Like
Yeah.
they just know me as the guy who throws parties and just be out here. But then I went to London, and big shout out Josh from the Vibe Next Door, one of my really close friends. He was the first person that ever believed in me. The first person to make me feel like something, not just who I didn't know. Because
Yeah.
back then it's like when you're growing up, you're just finding yourself, right?
Yeah.
But he heard my song and he immediately was like, he was going crazy. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? I wasn't used to like real reactions. I was used to just like, yeah, keep working, or yeah, cool song, or I like that beat, or something like that, right? But he was like actually going crazy about the song. Then he ran back, showed his twin brother, and then since then it's like, it's go time, because I will never forget that reaction of him just knowing me, and I was just like, what? This like one song, but he was like so shocked, like, oh my gosh, like this is a person I know. I'm like, I'm nothing, but he treated me like a star. So he really made me believe in myself.
That first song, that first song. So let's go back to that first song you did, right? Remember it?
Of
And I'm gonna
course.
say, of course, give it to me a little bit, one line, two lines even, because I do this with everybody. I did this with Tiffany, and she, you know, she was a beast. I gotta say that. Big shout to Tiffany. She just went through it. You don't have to actually say, but give me at least some of the lyrics behind the first song.
So like the first song was basically like, I think it was like a love song or something about someone I don't know. So it's like I'm the person who I'd be fantasizing about, or like everybody's perfect woman, or whatever the case may be. And then the song is almost like a message to that future person. And funny enough, the song I recently released, so that first song is called Reality. I dropped my newest song that I dropped is called Back to Reality.
Mm.
So kind of how since then it's funny because that was my first and probably last pure love song, and that was my first one.
Yeah.
You know,
So
so
you gotta
then
give me some of the words. You
Full
gotta give
circle.
you gotta give me since
so full circle
Yeah.
moment, and
yes.
then the next song is kind of reflecting on that, and then kind of going back to the reality days. Funny enough, and that song actually kind of happened naturally, and I think that's the most important part about the creative process,
Yeah.
and how I've been just authentic the whole time.
Yeah.
Like things always be aligning musically, and sometimes people be like seeing artists and they're like, oh my gosh, this guy's so smart, like look how this connects to this and this connects to this and this connects to this. But it's really just being honest.
Yeah.
Like if you're honest, your story is going to align.
Yeah.
Your first album is gonna have, always gonna be nods back to your first album, even if you're on your eighth one, because that's the person you were.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who are like kind of fabricated or work with songwriters and stuff. That's why it's like they'll love this artist because they're working with their team, probably changed team, new sound, and they're like, oh my gosh, like this artist has changed.
Yeah.
But it's just that artist wasn't honest. But the pure artists who are just honest, no matter how many songs you'll make, you're always gonna go back to that first song.
You said that, but that takes a lot of people a long time to like even to hit on that point, right? Like that's a journey of its own, like trying to figure out who you are, what you want to portray, because there's pressure, right? Like whether it's social, I don't know if you're a kid in high school or you're in college or whatever. There's pressure to want to put out, especially like R&B, the state that R&B is in right now. Like it's not in the greatest state. It's not like what it used to be, you know. So for you to
Yeah.
come out and say I'm gonna make this song called Reality, like kudos to you for putting yourself out there.
I know. That's crazy. I love him on. I couldn't even help myself. And the first song always comes so easy. That's
Yeah.
why somebody makes a song and they're like, I want to be an artist.
Yeah.
But the first song is the easiest song.
Yeah.
I'm having troubles because I was like, I've always said, yeah, I'm gonna write something one day or something like that because I just feel like I have that capability,
Yeah.
but nothing ever comes. So
Do
you
it,
know,
yo. Do it.
hold on, hold
Do
on.
it. Do an audiobook for me too.
You,
I'd
you,
love
you
to
hear what
listen
he
to
said
it.
about the natural flowing and all
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Me on a sound mix or something that's more natural than you know what I mean. Like I hear an artist or I see an artist and I'm like, and I get excited,
You got
right?
the voice for it too.
Yeah, no, no, no. Speaking voice. There's a difference between a speaking voice and nobody wants to hear me sing, right? But like I said, there's an excitement that I get, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not a musician, I'm not an artist, right? So I get excited listening to other artists and listening to musicians in a whole. And sometimes I get ahead of myself. I'm like, yeah, I can go and do it, and it never happens. So I like what he said, you know,
Yeah.
the naturalness, but also the truthfulness of it, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Because we're in a game nowadays, and not just nowadays. We're in a game where money rules, right? Money rules. So artists, you know, they go different paths to get to that money, and now you're taking it back where you're like, okay, I'm about the arts first,
Yeah.
right? Is that, and that's a sense I'm getting from you. Just about the arts first, so everything is natural, and you said, hey, there's an honesty, there's a truthfulness in that, especially in that first song.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say that, are you that, you're still that truthful artist?
100%. And now I'm trying to double down. I'm trying to. I find that being like a, you know, just in the underground scene or whatever the case may be, the local scene in music, it's like, it feels so inaccessible because you have to like work with people. But the problem is, it's not very cheap to work with people.
No.
Especially if you want things to be done the right, like properly. And nowadays, people's base price is out of most people's budgets. So I find that I'm trying to double down on me in the sense of like, I'm trying to take back more creative control, and not in this, because I have a creative team and they're my partners for life. You know, you work with Yuri, work with Iziada, like these are the people who are gonna be forever. We're gonna be creating music. But even in where I'm at now, it's like I need to use what they've taught me too, right? So we can keep it going. When you have a team, I'm realizing that, yeah, you want to like work with them and help them get to where they want to be. But sometimes you also have to help yourself to be something so you can help them be something. You know, it's a build thing like that. You know, they do something and it's like, oh hey, I know this person. We collaborate on it. Then we take that level from here to here. Then I do something, and then I have an opportunity. Okay, hey, you want to come help me on this? We work on it together, and you get it from here to here. But it's like, you have to be something too to help other people change their life, right? You have
Yeah.
to do something. So I'm just kind of in the point where back in the day when I feel like I was really just spamming creativity, making films, making commercials, doing all that stuff with the little knowledge that I had, but it coming out very nice. Like I want to bring back that energy where it's just like, you know what, I want to do something, I'm going to do it. Here's the deadline. Just get it out. You know, rather than it being like, oh, hey, when are you available? When are you available? When are you available? What's the budget for this? And then all of a sudden, you know, your project went from, I'm trying to get this done in January to 2026.
So, like, follow up to his question, like, I know, like, being an artist is expensive. At what point do you now, like, what do you do to help yourself? Because even though it's like we don't want to talk about money, I used to hate talking about money, especially when it came to, like, DJing and stuff like that, because I just loved it so much. But I started to learn that, like, as uncomfortable as it is, it's important
Business.
to yeah, to have a little bit of that knowledge. So like for you, what kind of tools have you picked up in your journey that have helped you keep things in a place where you're still able to be just creatively like I just want to worry about that. Like do you have systems that you put together for yourself to kind of I guess I don't know if it's protect yourself from that stuff or like what have you put in place?
Like, so sorry, can we repeat the question one more
So
time?
basically, have you kind of picked up whether it's like tactics or like tools that help you discuss the money or keep the money kind of in a sense like in order? So it's not like if somebody comes up to you and they're like, "Hey, I want $600 for a feature," and you're like, maybe it's not worth it for me. You know, like what kind of
Okay.
systems have you put in place for
Okay.
yourself to kind of help yourself be where you're at today?
I think it's just energy exchanges. That's
Yeah,
what my choreographer, Cynthia, shout out La Compagnie de Danse, she always says that. It's like, okay, I have, this is my budget,
yeah,
but here are my skills. How can I help you? You know,
yeah,
that's kind of what I'm kind of all about right now. It's more of like, I'm always going to pay my people, especially working arts council. You really behind the scene, you really live by that motto, and everybody deserves to be paid. You know, it's like they're doing work and they're doing the stuff that they believe in. But if I can't pay you a crazy amount, how can I use my skill sets to better your career?
yeah. Straight.
That's kind of what I'm all about now. It's like I've learned a lot of things, I've gained a lot of skills, I've gained a lot of connections doing what I do. So, how can I support people as they're supporting me?
Hmm.
So, I think that's what it's all about, just like energy exchanges in that sense.
I love that because like bartering your skills is something that like is kind of underrated when it comes to like building relationships because we're all starting at the same spot down here. We got to help build
Yeah.
ourselves up, and it's like it's mutual. It's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Dope, man.
I'm gonna come back to the lessons and things that you might have learned, and I think you touched on something. But I wanna find out what was the first impactful lesson that you think you learned in this thing. And when I say impactful, something that possibly still with you to this day.
Always treat people well. Never burn bridges. Never try to bring anybody down. You know, I'm really committed to the journey of building a team and keeping a team, because it just seems like the most successful formula, especially when I'm seeing all like the people who've done well in the industry. It's always a consistent team. You want to drop people, you want to step on people, you want to use people for this time so you can get here and then ditch them and find new people to. You can't you can't climb a ladder that doesn't have a bottom,
Yeah.
right? Because then
Bottom row, yeah.
you need those bottom rows. And I'm a believer that I have the capability to better the people's lives around me, and the people who believed in me, like when they had no reason to, you know. So I'm just all about building and keeping and maintaining, you know, like especially the people I work with, they're like family to me.
Mm.
You know, as I mentioned, producer, engineer, Iziati, Yuri, Cynthia. I have all these great people, Gary, great people on my team. As I said, my Vibe Next Door family, Josh, Joey, you know, my boy Jason. It's just like I have so many people who like just believed in me, and I'm seeing how our lives are so intertwined even when, you know, it seems like we're going different directions. We're never separated because it's pure. You know, I realize God puts people in your life and you really have to see it before you lose these people who's really going to who believed in you and stood by you when anybody would skip an opportunity with you because you're not what you want to be yet, right? So just never going to step on anybody to try to get to where I want to be. I'm just going to pave my own way.
Yeah. Since you bring up God, I gotta ask: spiritual or religious?
Mm.
Um, I would say more spiritual,
Okay.
but I do like to, you know, use tools like the Bible. There's a lot of great messages and stuff in there and things that can change your perspective. So There's a lot of good in a lot of places, but definitely spiritual.
Okay. Um, like I said, we got three Asantes, and we talk a little bit about what certain things about London Arts Council. So I'm gonna ask you first, like, why London Arts Council? And then I'm gonna get you to describe your role at the London Arts Council, so we know. But so maybe you'll start with that, describe your role, and then tell me why London Arts Council.
Well, I do a lot of programming with London Arts Council, but it's a very flexible team, so you have to be, you have a job to do, but you also have to be very willing to lend a hand because we're a team, right? So it's a really great team, great family, and people is really trying to do great things for the art scene in general in London, just trying to support. So it's that my role is just doing a lot of the programming and activation work. So if you go around London, you're gonna see some people performing somewhere, whether it's like Market Lane or Covent Garden Market. So we do a lot of places that's accessible for people. Has to be accessible for the public. We don't do a lot of like closed doors events and stuff. It's just all for the people. We want to bring art to London, and we want it also to be, you bring people to from whatever different cities coming to the city. They want to see energy. They want to feel like feel the city before they know the city. So I realized stuff that we do is it really brightens the place. There's a lot of people who it's very unfortunate, the homeless situation, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But when we add music and vibrate the city, it's not just for the tourists and for the people who live around. It's even for them too. Their eyes brighten. They feel like they have some life around them, So because a lot of the time they're very respectful. You don't have people, if you talk to anybody, they probably think that they just all go crazy, but it's just you find their spot and they just enjoy it. So it's bringing life and bringing energy to people. Sometimes people come to you and just be like, "Oh, you don't know how much I needed this," or we do something in some places. Someone will say, "You don't know how big this is for the space to just have music." So it's really cool.
And I want to touch on the business side of that because this year, I believe there was a little reduction in the budget, right?
Yeah.
How does that affect London Arts Council? How does that affect what you have to do?
Well, we might not be able to do as much as we want to, but it's not going to stop us from doing what we need to do. So, everybody wants more money, but you also have to utilize the money that you have properly. So we just get more strategic but still do what we do best.
One thing I noticed different from previous is there's way more younger talent that's involved with the Arts Council now. There's such a big roster of like young talent, and it's so good to see.
Yeah.
Because it's encouraging for like even the younger generation, the kids in high schools and whatnot, to see that like people that they can touch performing at like some of the festivals or even just some of the functions that you guys put on. So it's really good to see. Were you there for some of that like change?
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest thing for me was I graduated from MIA, Music Industry Arts Fanshawe, and I stayed in the city, got a lot of opportunities, grew my career. A lot of the time people are like, okay, I finished this, Toronto we go. But is it always great being a small fish in a big pond? Or do you want to learn how to navigate a pond in general?
Yeah. Yeah.
So London gives you the opportunity, and the way that it's developing, the things that I've seen, it's not as much of a small pond as it used to be.
No.
It's not a big pond, but
Yeah.
we could be a medium size or a medium small, one of the size, but it's developing.
Yeah.
And it teaches an artist how to get opportunities and how to get themselves out there.
Yeah.
So I use that program to encourage a lot of people to stay a bit. Here's an opportunity. They're in MIA, they come and they perform in the city. They're like, oh my gosh, I can get gigs here.
Yeah.
You won't. The whole thing about even the Arts Council too is we want people to believe that you can get work in your city. And there's so much that we can do, but we are going to do our best to show people those opportunities. But we still love using the veterans of the
Yep.
city, you know,
Yep.
because they're the city,
Yep.
they're the music. So we still want to bring the normal culture in and stuff. So
Man, I gotta go try and get into this veteran, this DJ veteran kind of game, and maybe I gotta, go. I gotta go talk to Asante afterwards, right? Um, UNESCO City of Music. London is a UNESCO City of Music. How has that impacted you as a musician, and you as London Arts Council?
well, it gave us some pretty cool opportunities, I'd say. We've done more stuff kind of internationally, some music exchanges. Thing about like those stamps is when you get them, it's shiny, but that doesn't mean the work stops. Sometimes it feels like, oh, we got this, so we're City of Music. But I think since we've gotten it, being able to prove that has actually put more of a chip on the shoulders of the people behind the scenes.
And I think that's one of the areas I wanted to head in because yeah, did it open up more opportunities? Did it? Yes, it shines a light on London, right? But London, like you said, London now has to deliver, and opportunities. Do you think there's more opportunities because of this, or is it just the same anyway?
I say it's growing. It's always depending on the season. You know, it's like what's happening, who's coming here. Like even for example, Sunfest, like they had a UNESCO City of Music stage. Didn't have that before, so that brought more
Right.
opportunities for people. So I feel like it's very easy to be like, oh, it's not doing anything. And you know, sometimes when you first get things, you feel that way. But when with a lot of the hindsight, even taking it in through the question, like it's growing, slow but steady, right? So we got it. Now we got to prove it.
Okay. Now I'm going to come back to Sante the artist. From your first from your first song to where you are now, obviously I think one of the things you talked about was a team. So I'm going to assume that your team changed and you surrounded yourself with a team that's now, like you said, your family. Any
Yeah.
other changes?
I don't think my team has changed.
Okay.
Well, obviously in the beginning you're
Yeah.
doing your trial runs. You're
Yeah.
trying to find people, you know. From the people I don't work with anymore have taught me a lot. You know, when I first got into music, you don't understand the concept of all the things you have to pay for. You know, there's so many things in the business that you don't know, whether you're a DJ or anything. Like you don't know what's going on.
Yep.
So when you first start, sometimes you might unintentionally burn some bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ain't doing it on purpose. Like I ain't trying to be like, I'm not trying to diss anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to
Yeah.
not compensate someone how they deserve, but I don't know.
Yeah. Straight up.
I don't know what this
Yeah.
person's worth or whatever.
Yeah.
I just said, yo, let's go make some music. So yeah, there've been times I work with engineers who I don't work with now, but also I learned that sometimes the people who don't speak are the people you usually lose the fastest, because you'll have an engagement with somebody and you think you're both eye to eye, but they're not telling you how they feel. So then one of these days they're gonna be like, you know what, I'm done with this person, ghost this person, right? So that stuff has happened to me, but from that I'm also taught me business.
Yeah.
You know, some things when you walk in the room, you mention, because if you don't mention, it's gonna be looming over everybody's heads, and the confusion is gonna cause a lot of problems. So you learn things to talk about or not to. But for the most part, for the people who really stuck around, I think we've just developed, we've grown. Sometimes we've learned how to grow together,
Yeah.
and I think we're very tight knit.
So much different like personalities too, and like just individuals in the music industry, right? Like you dealing with like different egos and like, like everybody. I'm sure everyone feels like they're the hottest. But like, I really like how you're putting it. Basically, just humble yourself and just kind of listen to people rather than just talking at people or just trying to get your point across.
Yeah.
And like when you get older, you start to understand that like you just have to try and understand people's perspective and like when you're young, it's not as easy to do, right?
Nah.
It's not as easy to do.
Man,
But
I gotta be quiet because obviously being the old guy here. I can't even say anything, right? Otherwise, you know.
but as you get older, I think you start to develop a real understanding of yourself, which also helps you understand others.
Yeah.
It just really sounds like you're like at one with who you are, and that's helped you with like dealing with all the individuals in like the industry, which is
Yeah, and I think, but he has, I think, more than anything, because he has to deal with more individuals, because
yeah,
he's not just an artist,
yeah,
right?
yep,
He's also on the other end, right?
yep,
And he has to cater to artists as well,
yep,
too, right?
yep.
So, how do you handle catering to artists when you yourself are an artist?
What's it like emailing artists?
Yeah.
Um, Honestly, I've grown to appreciate it a lot
Okay.
because when you see it from the other side, you know how to get into the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things that I'm learning about, like sponsors, grants, all these things I have a lot of knowledge on than most artists because I'm in it and I make it happen. I see how to get opportunities. Like it's funny. It's like sometimes when we try to get something big, we're always being like we put so much pressure on it. But sometimes we forget that there's just a human on the other side.
Mhm.
You know, I'll be like doing my job, putting people in. Depending on the season, it's like, okay, I need this happen. Like right now, somebody told me about this later. Somebody dropped out, so you're changing things up. Someone sends you an email, hey, I just want to let you know I'm around if you want give me any opportunities. I'm like, oh yeah, I have this person.
Yeah.
Here's the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's like we're just humans on the other side.
Mhm.
So sometimes I feel like me learning that has made like all the grants, the sponsors, it kind of decreased the pressure that I have from reaching out, trying to get funding, letting people know my ideas. How can I get new business partners and business relationships? Because you're just human. Because I've seen them on the other side. And it's like, oh, you're just another guy out here, another girl out here, whatever. You're just here and just like anybody else. You just want to work with people who's nice, kind, and do their job well and reliable.
Yeah. You're a former Toronto guy,
Yeah.
right? Living in London. How do you see your career playing out, or what do you think your career would have played out had you stayed in Toronto?
It's a good question. I see there's two things that could have happened. I wouldn't be where I am now. My music would probably be a lot different, and but I wouldn't be as far, I think. The second thing, and this one would be probably more likely, I probably put more pressure too early. And I would either get myself to a position where I want to be but I wasn't ready for too early is what I would be probably the thing that would happen. Because when I first started, it's the worst. I'm so sorry.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
When I first started, I was eager.
Yeah.
I was eager to do whatever it takes to be where I want to be in life. And that's good. But you still know the balance of patience is really important. Balance of development is really important. There's a lot of people who get what they want too early. And when you don't have, beyond the music skill, writing, all that kind of stuff, if you don't have the maturity levels to manage certain situations, good and bad, you can really, sometimes my mom taught me that not all opportunities are, some opportunities are trap doors in disguise. And it can really be, you can create your own trap doors by not being ready for an opportunity that you'd probably handle better years later.
My
So
parents always talking cryptic like that, you know?
I know.
And you look back and you're like, that makes sense.
Oh, it makes so much sense. By the time, I was like, what are you even going on about?
Yeah.
I want it now. But, you know,
Man,
you mature.
say that because you know you should say it loudly, just because there's emphasis here. But
Yeah.
you know you gotta let
Yeah.
them know that when parents speak, it's cryptic,
true.
but
It's
it's
very true.
some true stuff.
My dad always used to tell me that what comes quick never lasts. You know, anything that you've worked hard for will always, you're gonna appreciate it so much more, you know, than something that just gets handed to you. Like here's this, you know.
And I'm gonna say I'm probably living proof of that. No, I'm not even
Yeah.
gonna kid you on that, right?
Yeah.
The things that I ended up sticking with
Yeah.
were the things that I had to work at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything that I could literally do,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it. I kind of either threw it away or didn't focus on
Yeah.
it enough. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But like, I was never a natural DJ. I had to go hustle and
Yeah.
work at it, right? You know what?
Yeah.
I stayed.
Yeah.
Sound was something that when I first came to Canada,
Yeah.
like there was no black people in sound, like on that level. Yeah,
Yeah.
we had our sound sisters, but not on a live aspect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's how far back it is. So
Yeah.
that's something like I literally lied to somebody about, said I could do, and then just went on and started to learn. The other stuff, man, I could run for days. I could run for days. And if you knew me when I was younger, everybody thought I would have been track first, right? I wouldn't even do anything, right?
Yeah.
I got into basketball. I had to work at it, so
Yeah.
then that became something that I worked at.
Yeah.
School was there,
Yeah.
and I didn't pay attention to it like I should have, because like I remember reading stuff and always being ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
And because of that, I didn't
Oh,
focus.
interesting.
I did not. I'm gonna say I didn't focus the way, but I would read a lot of books, right?
Yeah.
So when you go back and say that, yeah, when your parents, the
Yeah.
things that you had to work at,
Yeah.
you know, those are the things that you will
Yeah. It's true.
cherish.
100%.
Any other things that your mom might have told you? Because this is the first time you brought up your parents, so I'm gonna get into that. Anything else that she might have told you that stays true and you hold dear?
Well, just in general, I think the best part about our relationship is that she doesn't hold back.
Yeah.
She does not hold her tongue. From singing in the house, and there was a slight miss of a no. I'm gonna hear it. No, I'm going to hear it. And when I first started doing music, they never like, obviously they were like proud of doing something I like to do,
Yeah.
but I will never forget the day that I really played a song for my mom, and I saw her really be like, okay,
Yeah.
now we're getting started. You know what I mean? Like, it's always like, oh yeah, keep working at it.
Yeah.
But I was always wanting things to like rush. I wasn't
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
okay, let's bring this back. I was
Yeah.
like, record something. I got it mixed, and this is done,
Yeah.
and then out. But it's always like, I like the idea, but keep working at it. But then, so I learned to actually work on things and not rush. And then she loved it. And then since then, she's been like my biggest supporter. She was my biggest supporter back then, but now she was like really a fan of what I do.
Yeah.
She could see the work that you're now putting in as opposed to trying to fly through.
Yeah, but it's not that I wasn't putting in the work. I just wasn't ready.
Oh, okay.
So, but the best thing about my mom, best thing about my sister, they're always so honest with me.
Yes. Yes.
They're so honest. They're
Yes.
so just telling me, yeah, that's it. That's not it. They won't hesitate. And it's always nice that when your biggest supporters and your biggest critics are at home.
How hard is it to find people that are that honest with you as an artist?
It's impossible.
Oh, trust me.
It's literally impossible.
Yeah.
Like, someone to actually tell you, like, no. Like, it's really hard. I remember one of my friends, my first song, he was like, yeah, I showed it to my friend, and he was like, yeah, this song sucks. And I appreciated that so
That they
much, and
would tell
he
you the truth.
had no clue.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, he was always honest with my boy Kevin, and he's always been like honest with me, always. And I remember when he said that, I was just like, nice.
Yeah.
You know, just because I don't really care for the, you know, the small talk and the, oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's good, whatever. Like, that doesn't even help me at all.
Yeah.
You know, I've always somebody who focused on the improvement of it, because I don't want to feel like, yeah, this is it. Because if it's like, oh yeah, that's good, like I like it, whatever, like that's my ceiling.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm like, I don't really want that. I want someone to tell me if they like it, if they don't like it.
Because it comes from a good place, right? But it doesn't.
Yeah, but then
help.
you come also looking at
Yeah.
how many people can actually handle it in that
Yeah,
aspect
yeah,
too, right?
yeah.
Because it's you're not you, and I'm gonna go in a place where I'm a
Yeah.
starting out artist
Yeah.
and I put out my first song,
Yeah.
and even though somebody means well comes and says, well, it's not that good.
Yeah.
Do I have the mentals to be able to say, okay, all right, this is a meaningful, this is meant to
Yeah.
push me and make me better, or am I going to look for other things?
Yeah.
Like, am I going to say to myself, is this person jealous or
Yeah.
blah blah blah, or or am I going to fold? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it depends on the mindset. When some people can handle, it's like anything else. Some people can handle honesty, some people can't, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was younger, a younger DJ starting out, and I was DJing at this club every like Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
So I'm just there DJing all the time, and you know what I mean. I'm just getting used to it. I'm like, I'm the man, whatever, whatever. And one day, this dude came up to me. Actually, no, he didn't. I kind of just overheard him talking to somebody. He's like, "Yo, Fresh Seas plays the same all the time, yo. Every weekend it's the same thing." I got so upset, yo. I kicked a fuss. I got so upset. I got so mad, and I took it so personal. And then, like, after I went back home and I sat there and I thought about it, and I was like, what would make this person say that? And then, if that person's saying that, because I confronted him about it, and he just told me the truth, and it was like, well, I started to think, like, how many people actually think that? Okay, that's fine. I asked myself, do I play the same every weekend? And the answer was yes. And it really helped me start to like rewire my thinking, because I had to go through the stages, being offended, okay, then sitting there like now analyzing the thought, and then like trying to like what is it called, critical thinking, to sit there and be like, okay, maybe there's truth to that, and finding that and then working through that to be like, okay, let me improve my product.
Yeah.
Because when you start out as a DJ, sometimes you think it's like the people are supposed to listen to you, whereas like now as I'm older, I realize I'm working for them. So
Yeah.
my job is to give them what they want. It's not about what I want. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just, you learn stuff like that, and it's super dope to have those honest people that'll tell you and come out and be like, hey, you know, this guy used to be one of those people too.
No. I just saw you found the next. I thought after somebody said that to him, he just found the next old DJ and got it off of them.
Yeah, no.
That's not how it went?
No.
Oh, okay.
But well, I guess full circle, because even like, so I, back in those days, like I really had a really bad attitude, and like I burnt a lot of bridges and whatnot, including my bridge with him. And I just thought it was really funny, that full circle moment.
Don't bring me in this.
Full circle moment, that like the person that ended up calling me back to give me my second chance was him. And it was like, for me, it was super like, huh, here's another lesson. It's like you burnt a bridge, and it's the last person you think that pick up the phone and be like, hey, how's it going? What you been up to? And it's like, nothing.
Yeah.
Man.
You know what happens when you get old? You get amnesia and all that stuff, and you get and so. You burnt the bridge? Man, I didn't know that. We're going to talk after the podcast, right?
But yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
Darn, I'm telling you, you see, I know I was missing something. That's why I always look at you funny. Like, I just couldn't remember. You know?
Nah, that stuff happened. But you said something interesting about like DJs, you know, playing for the people.
Yeah.
And I think about that, and it's like, I think that's perfect for being a DJ.
Yeah.
I think for being an artist though, I think sometimes that's a failing formula. You know, because they always say create for your fans, but you don't even know them.
I've never heard somebody say that.
No,
That's a
but
good
yeah,
point.
he's
Like,
right. Yeah.
And I changed my whole aspect on it too, and how I make music now. It's like I have to be my biggest fan first. I have to be like when I think about myself 16 years old, I just figured out who Roy Woods was, and I was like in my room listening to him all the time, like good days, bad days. Like I just I feel like him as an artist at the time for me was so impactful to my development. He didn't make that song being like, oh yeah, this kid really needs to hear this
Yeah.
right now. He made that song because he probably had some relationship thing or whatever, and he wanted to express it, or he had this certain life experience and he wanted to express it. And then he found a true fan because we related. And what I deeped in music is that there's billions of people on this planet, and we like to believe that we're so unique and our situations are so unique. Maybe down to the details, yeah, it's gonna vary, but for the most part, there's a lot of people who will understand exactly who you are. A lot of people will understand exactly who you are because they're the same way.
Yeah.
So why are you trying to make music for people that aren't yourself, that isn't yourself? You make music for yourself, you're making music for probably millions of people. You make one song, you're like, oh, this is my favorite song. You can capture millions of people because they are similar to you, have the same interests, they have similar values. I think that's the best way to be for the people is being for yourself in music and creating your own, catalog. But for being a DJ, that could be the biggest mistake because I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've
because
seen
you can't play for yourself as a DJ, right?
I've seen people do it, and I see how unsuccessful it is because they're in their own world, and they're not noticing. Oh, look, this person isn't. People aren't dancing. So honestly, when you said it, just made me think about how the arts vary in very weird ways.
Yeah, but I also think to go along with yours is you're a musician that says I'm an honest to myself musician, right? So that, as much as I say it's a true statement what you made, I think it applies to you and somebody of your kind, right? Who's like, okay, I'm honest about my music, right? But you've got people that not honest, and I can't say it's not dishonest, but it's not them, right? Because it's like anything. People can do anything they put their mind to at the same time. So
Yeah.
there's always people out there that can look and say, I can write or I can do something for the masses. Where that gets them, I don't know because I'm not that kind of a judge. But I can say depending on who you are and everything you talk about is about your honesty in music, right? Your honesty and all that stuff. So that stuff is really gonna hold true for you.
Yeah.
So you probably can't even see yourself trying to write like now, especially now that you've known yourself. You can't see yourself writing for other people.
I do that all the time. I work with artists all the time, going to Toronto, work with artists in London, and I just apply that
So
to songwriting.
yeah,
A lot of my sessions, we're not even, if we have a 4 hour session, we're only probably an hour or an hour and a half of it is writing. I'm getting to know the person who I'm working with. I'm getting to know their story. A lot of time I just have my phone out, writing some notes, key words that they say,
Oh,
themes.
really?
And then when I get that all, and then we start writing, they're always gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, that's such a great line! Like, how'd you know that?" I'm like, "You said that." Like, people. It's
Yeah.
funny. It's being a songwriter. You don't have to be a good writer. You have to be a
Yeah.
good listener.
I wish we got into this earlier, being the songwriter part, but that's so interesting.
there's so many things that he said that I want to
Yeah.
get into, right?
Yeah.
That's why so many of our podcasts we end up bringing people back because an hour just never seems to capture everything that we want, right? And
Yeah.
I've been
again,
talking a lot.
no, but that's hold on.
Spitting
That's
fire though.
no, but that's what it's supposed to be. That's why you're here. You're not here for me and
Yeah.
Fresh for to be the whole thing, right? We're here to
Yeah.
get your story and to get understanding. There's so many things that I think young artists that could learn that I feel like, man, we should just package it and say, hey, for all you
Yeah.
young artists, let's listen to Asante for a minute and get it out there. And I suppose that's part of what you're doing too in London Arts Council, right?
Yeah, I always just like to share what I know. I'm not really shy about it. It's funny, I worked with, the first time I met Iziata, he was giving me all this information. I'm like, why you like, you know, we were like vibes before, but I even like just told him I'm a pretty straight up guy. I was just like, why are you giving me all these? Like you're giving me like, you're just blessing me right now. But he's like, yeah, like I'd have no problem sharing tools, but I know that you can't use them like I can use them. And that really changed my perspective on giving people advice where like you can't be a gatekeeper because
Yeah.
you can get some of the information, but when you're in creative industries, I can't tell you step by step on how to do things. I can give you, here's a short kind of general manual,
Yeah.
what you should listen for, but it's never going to be the exact same every single time. And you wouldn't be able to utilize the tools like I can utilize them, just like how I can't utilize them, how you can utilize them, which makes it unique. So when he said that to me, I was just like, yeah, I wasn't a gatekeeper before, but I doubled down on
No,
like
yeah.
sharing what I know because
You learn more that way
I
too.
learn more because
Yeah.
they can counter it, and I'll be like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. So you know, sometimes your thoughts
Same with
spiral.
me. Yeah. You can second that.
I keep getting these signals that every so often they tell me that I ignore, but it means that, you know what, this hour is up. But before it truly goes, before it truly goes, give me if I'm a young musician just starting out, right? 3 things I should know.
3 things.
Yeah, 3 things I should know.
So I'm gonna go back to the things that I was saying before.
Yeah.
Always be honest.
Yeah.
Or I'll keep this one short. Always be honest. I would say, don't try to step on people to get to where you want to be, because the connection that you burned, that person could be a mega star. That person could be a huge person in the industry. So don't be assuming things and don't be rude to people. And I think the next thing is, I know we like to show who we are, but sometimes don't be afraid to sit back and listen for a little bit. Especially when you're working with people who's been in the industry for a long time. And a lot of people, especially younger musicians, they'll be like, oh, well, look at me right now, look at my numbers, and look what you're doing, whatever, you know. But they've maneuvered into a different industry that we're in, and they also can give you a lot of tidbits and different perspectives and things that you can skip that doesn't have to happen to you. So, just make sure you listen a bit more. That's been my greatest asset, I think, just listening to these people.
Man, I love that so much. I'm gonna make him repeat it. And what the difference is, I'm gonna let him look for it because we're gonna get a close up of this because I'm actually gonna cut it as a clip. So we got a camera right there, and I'm gonna tell you, look straight ahead, right? And no, I'm really serious because this is some things that I think we should put out.
Yeah.
So do us a favor, and we thank you
Okay.
so much. Look forward into the camera, right? And give us those 3 tips again. You can say it anyway, right? But I want to catch this explicitly, right? So look ahead.
Okay, I hope I can. I don't know if I can word for word this.
No, not word, doesn't have to
but
be word for word, but we just want to catch it.
okay, so I think I don't remember what the first one was.
Just
Okay,
Was,
no. 3 things. It can be a different thing. 3 things that a young artist coming out should know. 3 things that you'd like to tell.
Be
them.
honest.
so I'm changing this a little bit now, right? Don't rush
Yeah.
your creative process and your development. Don't get what you want too early. I'll say don't step on people to get to where you want to be. And, listen to the people who's been in the industry for longer than you, no matter where you think you are compared to them or whatever. They can teach you a lot, and they can help you skip certain trap doors that they walk through so that we don't have to.
Thank you. And I'm going to add to that in a way. If you are an older, if you're an older artist, whatever you are, if you're that older generation in the business, be that gatekeeper, right? Be that person that's willing to assist and help and mentor who's coming after you, right? Because that's also very, very important, right? Thank you so much, Asante.
Of course.
To my guy, Big Fresh. I always call him Big Fresh, right? Just because, you know, well, I'm not even going to get into that. We're going to get you back because there's so many
Yeah,
things that,
dope, man.
and I'm actually going to make sure Fresh is on with me, right? So thank you.
Nice.
And this has been, you know, another real talk, and we're going to actually send out some clips. Where's your stuff? IG, yeah, give us that little, give us the plug where everybody can
Yeah,
find yourself.
so find me on Instagram. It's Asante Delwy, ASANTE DELUY. Then you can find me on all platforms. Asante. One of my biggest stream song is Diagonal. And you know, if you're around in London, if you're downtown London, you're probably gonna run into me. Don't be afraid to say hi. But we're gonna be doing a lot of different things in a lot of different places, and you know, a lot of people believe in me, so it's time to put the pressure on.
No doubt. Thank you, and this has been another Real Talk.